If you've been following me, you know about the Lord of the Rings challenge. I had to read The Hobbit and the three Lord of the Rings books in 7 days. I failed the challenge. I got to the last book, but I didn't finish it. So now let's start reviewing these books. And really, who cares about what I think? Why don't we take a look at what everybody thinks? So I call this segment Reviewing the Reviews. So let's go ahead and take a look at The Hobbit for this video. What do people think about it in general? And do I agree with those reviews? Well, let's go ahead and review the reviews. So I'll share my screen. Okay, so we have here in Google, if you search The Hobbit right off the bat, you will see a 4.5 rating. And I think I agree. I would probably shave it down to four, a solid four. But I cannot be upset with that. Goodreads here, you can see it's a 4.3. Yeah, I think in general that's good. But let's take a look at some specific takes. What do people actually think? So I put on the filters on Goodreads newest first. And let's take a look at 5-star reviews. This was obviously going to happen. J.R.R. Tolkien, you know he's going to get banger reviews. Right off the bat, amazing. I read this when I was 7, but didn't understand. Okay, now I do, and it was awesome. Perfect. I like that. Great character arc there for you, Augustine. The story is just so great, and the movie portrays it well too. Well, I mean, maybe dragged out a little bit, but yeah, I think it does portray it well. Definitely a good one. Perfect. Okay. Fairy Reads, a dark and immersive fantasy world that keeps you turning pages. This is a high quality fantasy novel, and I wish there were more new books like this. Awesome. Love it. Gotta love these reviews. I'll just do one more. Some books are able to stand the test of time and truly remain timeless. Tolkien has accomplished this with his intricately woven and expertly told story. I agree with that personally, but uh I think his way of writing descriptively is something that in this day and age where people just want, quick what's the term? Gratification, instant gratification, and they want to just get to the point quickly and get out. It's probably not going to stand that test of time. I already peeked at some reviews, and yeah, I mean, I think the overall consensus for the lower reviews is that it's boring, too descriptive, and I don't know. Let's take a look at some of those specific reviews. Four stars. We're gonna go down slowly from 5 stars to 1 star. Here we go. So let's take a look at a few reviews here. A very sweet read. Read after I finished the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and it was definitely easier. 100%. I have read the Lord of the Rings books. My goodness, they are definitely harder to read than The Hobbit. I enjoyed it a bit less. So it was definitely easier, but I enjoyed it a bit less. I think I agree with that. I think I agree with you, Stephanie. 100%. Twist ending. Awesome. Kay Goodhart says a classic, shockingly though. I enjoy the movies more. Yes, you don't strike me as somebody who reads and writes a lot. Sorry. Okay, but nice review. Thank you. I don't know why I'm saying thank you. I'm not Tolkien. Very different from the movies and not as much Gandalf action, but a wonderfully exciting chosen family adventure. Yeah, I agree with that. Okay, and let's go ahead and get to the interesting reviews. 3 stars. This is where we might get a little spicier with the reviews. I think I still agree with some of the 3-star reviews. 2 stars and 1 stars, that's ridiculous. But let's see what they got to say when it comes to the 3 stars. Robert Hillier, Hillier. I don't know how to say that last name. I'm sorry. I spent the last quarter of this book trying to figure out whether or not Bilbo is supposed to be a Christ figure. I don't know where you would get that thought. Why would Bilbo be a Christ figure? He doesn't strike me as somebody that, initially like cowers away from an adventure and then impulsively goes into the adventure and then finds a prized possession and hides it and lies to Gollum and well, I guess didn't technically lie, but I don't know. I don't see any of Christ in Bilbo personally. If you know what Robert is talking about, please leave it in the comments and help me out. I do not see that. Um, Yeah, I'm all for similar features, and there's so many characters out there in books that do have some Christ qualities. I just don't see too many of them in Bilbo personally. Okay. Also, in rare defense of the movies. All right, here we go. It is, in my opinion, dumb to spend approximately 400 pages of people. So we're talking about Tolkien, not Peter Jackson. We're talking about what Tolkien did. 400 pages of people wandering around in the dark, not knowing where they are. And then 5 pages on a five army battle. Yeah, I think I agree with this, to be honest. Yeah. It pains me to say it, but because I'm just a huge fan of Tolkien, but I agree. Where basically no character gets to shine or have an arc. Just Bilbo getting knocked out and waking up and it's all over, right? While it's dumb to have a 2.5 hour movie based off of 5 pages of a book, I agree with the filmmakers that there should be far more to said battle. That's all. Robert, I agree with you. I agree with you. It is dumb that they based the movie on 5 pages of a book, but on the other hand, more should have been said. So that's just, I mean, yeah. There's just nothing you can do on either side. Like if you're on the filmmaker side, it's like, well, this is what we got to work with, and I believe there's more to be said. But if you're on the writer side, it's like, well, this is not my vision. So yeah, I don't know if 3 stars. I would do 3.5 at least for The Hobbit, but I do not disagree with this review at all. This book, oh, I love this one. Emma, come on. This book was definitely one of the most boring. Mind you, we live in a world of boring books, but this one is one of the most, according to Emma, the most boring books I've ever read. Okay? I respect your opinion, but then your opinion really just throws me off and kind of goes out the window when you continue after this comma here, but it was still super enjoyable and interesting. So it's one of the most boring books you've ever read, but it was still super enjoyable and interesting. Either I think you just like using the word super for anything, either that or you have read a grand total of 4 books in your entire life, and this one was just simultaneously one of the most boring books of those four and still super enjoyable and interesting because all four of those books were enjoyable and interesting. Um, that makes no sense and kind of loses your credibility on the rest of it. But let's take a look at it. It did pick up a little bit more after 100 or so pages. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I agree. It can be descriptive. It was tough for me. I agree with that. But it was still a little boring. Okay. I mean, you can give us your reasons. Give us, no, I agree. I think I agree. It's just weird the way you're presenting your review, but I think I agree. I absolutely love the movies and decided to try and read the books. Hey, I I also think that if you watched the movies first, I generally recommend reading books first, but if you watch the movies first, you would probably come to that same conclusion because you have no idea what the book is about and you accept the movies. Most of the people that hated on the movies, that I know, of course, we don't know the same people, but most of the people that I know had read the book, and that's why they didn't like the movies. So that makes sense. I do think in this case the movie is so much better. I don't know if I agree with that. Just because they took most of the stuff from the books and added more to it to make it more interesting and entertaining. I think what makes it more interesting and entertaining for us, Emma, since we're a little younger than the people um, that read this book before us, um, is just the visuals. I think if you were just listening to the movie and you were just listening to the book, you would probably find the book more interesting. It's just my assumption, my thought. If you were just listening to both, I think you would find the book more interesting. But it's just we're just visual people nowadays, all the technology. So I think that's why you think that. personally. Tolkien's writing style is so different from what I'm used to. That's true. Completely agree there. He goes in depth about everything. That's also true. And it kind of made it hard for me to keep up and understand the story. I can see that. I definitely didn't expect there to be as much singing as there was. That threw me off too. Like, I quickly realized he enjoys that kind of poetry, which, I mean, more power to him, right? Definitely threw me off a little bit. The way this book is written, though, makes me a little scared to read the other three books. Yeah, they're harder. I don't think, based on your review, I think you like reading enough to, if you get through the other three books, you'll realize that it's a good story. But based on your review, I don't think you will get through the other three books because you'll get stuck in the beginning because it's hard to get into at first, for sure. Definitely going to have to take breaks between reading the other books. 100%. 100%. So it isn't a 1 star, but it's not a 5 star either. I agree with that. I'm giving it a solid 3.5. I agree with it. I agree with your result. I don't particularly agree with how you uh started your review. I just think your result is great, so maybe just different word choices. But again, this is just me as a writer talking. You don't have to you don't have to take it upon yourself to. Anyway, let's go to the next review. 3.5. Yeah, I can see that based on the stars. Oh, I see why they're writing it, because in Goodreads you can't give half stars. Okay, gotcha. Okay, I see why you're writing it. Okay. 3 star. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Tolkien. I don't want to give it 3 stars, but I just couldn't enjoy it at the level of a 4 star at least. All right. DNF, boring, but you gave it 3 stars. I think I'm just I think I'm just new to the Goodreads review world. Like, if something is DNF and boring, I would give it 1 star. Why are people giving something boring 3 stars if it's boring in your opinion? I don't understand. I don't understand. It's 1 to 5 star rating, guys. It's not 3 to 5 star. You don't have to choose between three, four, and five. You have the 1 and 2 options. Okay. Anyway, whatever. Let's go to the 2 stars. Well, let's read one more. The first half is a masterpiece of revelation, modern high fantasy at its best, but the second half is bad. Too much crammed into too little space. I wouldn't go as far as to say bad. I think people use that word too liberally, just like Emma uses the word super liberally. And that's bad. I'm just kidding. But yeah, I wouldn't call it bad. I think, again, I'm just assuming people that read books, you have 607 reviews. Yeah, you definitely read books. You would think you have a more ample vocabulary than just the word bad. Second half is bad. I mean, I don't know. Too much crammed into too little space. I do agree with that. I just wouldn't go as far as to call it bad. Let's go with the 2 star reviews. 2.5. The only reason I kept reading this book was because of school. If not, I would have stopped reading by chapter 3. If I had to guess, you are under 25 years old. 24 reviews. Okay. Yeah, probably under 25 years old. Um, what can I say? It's definitely not built. I mean, it's a book from the 1900s, so can't remember specifically the year. Was it 1930s, 1940s? But anyway, it just makes sense. You know what I find fascinating? I find fascinating the fact that so many reviews, modern reviews, say it's boring. It's just too descriptive. And yet in the preface, I think, of Lord of the Rings, he implies Tolkien, he gives an introduction implying that people has have criticized his Lord of the Rings books, saying they were too short. Isn't that wild? Like, how times have changed. Anyway, I have huge respect for Tolkien, but wow, that I hate this book. Okay. Again, a word that I think is used way too liberally. Okay, maybe you hated a part of this book, a piece of this book, the way something was said, but you just hate it. First of all, you haven't read it enough to hate it. Well, no, actually, yeah, you did finish it. Sorry, my bad. You did finish it. Okay, so you are allowed to hate it if you want to. But it drives me crazy when people don't finish a book and say they hate it. Well, you don't know it enough to hate it. I'm not saying to not DNF. Absolutely DNF if you have to, but then don't, if you haven't seen the whole picture, it's hard to criticize the whole picture. If you just read the first two chapters and you hated it, then don't say you hated this book. Say you hated the first two chapters and you couldn't read any more. But saying you hated this book implies you read the whole book. Anyway, don't get me wrong, I love descriptive books. But why does the description of a tree have to be a page long? The plot of this book could have been understood in 100 pages. Not to mention, the writing style of the book made me lose track of what was happening every 2 seconds. This was horrible, and I never want to look at this book again. Jeez. I don't think I don't think you can say you love descriptive books then if you just never want to look at it again. Like, I mean, a person who loves descriptive books might want to look at it one more time. I'm just being too um pedantic at this time now. J'ai pas accroché. Il y a beaucoup trop de descriptions et de pas assez d'action. Mais c'est pas que ça les. I forgot what 80 is. How to say 80. And honestly, I don't know what I'm reading. Like, I don't even know if I pronounced that correctly. Probably not. I probably just pronounced like 1% correctly. I have no idea what he said. Yeah. Of course, Tolkien did wonders for the fantasy genre at the time, but reading it now, would I say it is the most enjoyable fantasy ever made? I fear not. I love the way you're saying that, Claire. I love you're getting into the medieval vibe. Question mark goes there. So, question mark. You're asking a question. Would I say it is the most enjoyable fantasy ever made? I fear not. So, question mark. I love the grumpy hobbits serving interior design, but it was not doing much for me in any other fashion. I read it. I'm going to do this in an English accent as best I can. Sorry for you English people that mm, not doing you service. I read it because I can't find it. I read it because it is a classic, and I can appreciate that aspect. But there was a bit of a drag. I I'm not doing that again in this video. Sorry. Um, okay, that's enough. Let's finish this up with a few one-star reviews. DNF, maybe we'll circle back. Hey, good to know. Maybe post a review when you have circled back and actually read the book. Alex, come on. My real life was more interesting. I highly doubt that, Emery. Your real life was more interesting than giant spiders? Yeah. Yeah. Try again. You can give it a 1 star, but give us an actual reason why it's a 1 star. Be intellectually. I'm looking like a Karen right about now. I liked Bilbo. Okay. So you liked Bilbo. If you would have liked Gandalf, it would have been 2 stars, or what? What are you saying, Dakota? What's going on, Dakota? Liked Bilbo. What didn't you like? It's a 1 star. Don't tell us what you liked. Tell us what you disliked. When it's less than 4 stars, when it's 1, 2, or 3 stars, you gotta tell us what you didn't like. Otherwise, it's just a slap in the face of the author. Just like get a low star rating, and then just you talk about what you loved, and it's like, okay, then why didn't you give it 5 stars? Of course, he's not alive anymore, so he won't care. This book is great in the sense that it makes a fantastic travel companion. I know where you're going with this. I know. It has been my constant for the last 5 years, which is when I started reading the book. Blame it on my lack of speed or the sheer boredom this book induces. I have been lagging it around on every vacation in hopes of finally completing it. That day has finally arrived. Good riddance. I don't remember a single thing that took place in the book. Honestly, I think I think you might, how do I say this in a nice way in this day and age? You got to be careful about how you say things. You might have a problem. And I'm not trying to defend the book at all. I'm just saying, first of all, the fact that you, for 5 years, are traveling with a book that you found boring tells me, I don't know, you like toxic relationships or something. You just stay. You just stick with the abuse. I don't know what's going on. That's a problem right there. That's a red flag. Regardless of how good or bad the book is, that's not great. That's relationship issues with the book. Hopefully, it doesn't transcend into your actual relationships. Michaela. No, no, you're not Michaela. Malika. Mahalika. Mahilika. Mahilika. Yeah. Okay. Good riddance. I don't remember a single thing that took place in the book. So you said the day finally arrived, and so on that day you finished reading it, you don't remember a single thing that took place in the book. That, my friend, might explain the toxic relationship. How old are you? Do you have like dementia, Alzheimer type thing? And I'm not joking about this. Like, that's a problem. This is a problem. You don't remember a thing on the day that you finally finished a book that you have been traveling for 5 years, but you hate. That is a weird review right there. I pray that you find a solution to whatever issue you have, but it's definitely the problem is definitely not The Hobbit. It's not a book. It's you. Yeah. Anyway, that's just reviewing the reviews for The Hobbit. Yeah, first video where I'm reviewing reviews. So, and there's some awkward moments in the videos, excuse me, but subscribe and keep watching to see me reviewing the reviews of the Fellowship of the Ring, which should be the next one. I also finished recently Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, so we'll be doing definitely one for that. All right, see you in the next video.